Nothing's as permanent as temporary government policy. I think I butchered that Milton Friedman quote a little bit, however, it still rings true. Because the Canadian government has just announced that the ban on foreign ownership of Canadian housing, which is currently set to expire on January 1st, 2025, will be extended for an additional 2 years until January 1st, 2027. And while in theory this sounds great, but how much impact will it really have? And already being a year into this new government policy, how much impact has it already had? That's just one of the many topics we'll be discussing in this video, so don't go anywhere. What's going on, guys? My name's Alex Dunbar and I'm a local realtor that specializes in the Surrey and Langley areas in Greater Vancouver. If this is your first time on my channel, I make weekly videos pertaining to the BC and Canadian real estate market, as well as showcase community tours across the Lower Mainland. So if that's something you're interested in seeing more of, I suggest you consider subscribing to our channel. And make sure that you click the bell so that you'll be first to be notified whenever I put out a new video, as I'm doing it at least once a week. But back to today's topic, the foreign buyer ban was originally introduced on January 1st, 2023 in an effort to improve housing affordability in Canada with a focus on the most expensive markets such as Greater Vancouver and the Greater Toronto areas. This ban was only supposed to last 2 years originally, but has now been extended until 2027. And as I said, in theory, it sounds great. And especially to those who feel that foreign buyers are the sole people to blame for the state of our housing market. And so with this announcement, from the public's eye, it appears that the government is trying to limit how much foreign money affects home prices. But is that actually what the issue is? This is an ongoing debate, and whether this approach will actually work is still up in the air, at least to some extent, because the situation is extremely complex. And in my opinion, it's an issue that is far more complicated than just being able to point the finger and blame a single group, as there are so many other factors. But I digress. One main complexity is understanding the difference between foreign buyers and foreign money. And what you have to understand is that foreign money can still enter the Canadian housing market, not just through purchases by people living outside Canada, but also through Canadian citizens, permanent residents, or students who have money from abroad. This shows that simply stopping people from other countries from buying homes might not fully solve the problem of high prices and affordability, because foreign money can still impact the market through Canadians themselves. And clearly there's already many loopholes to beat the system. But even with these loopholes, I still don't believe that foreign buyers are solely to blame, but we'll get to that in a minute. Additionally, there are several other ways that people are able to avoid this ban, such as allowing students and temporary workers to buy homes. And because of these exceptions, it means that foreign money can still influence the market, raising questions about the ban's true impact. And that's not to say whether it's right or wrong, that is just simply fact. Canada also has this massive goal of increasing its population through immigration, and we've seen over 1 million people enter the country last year and set to be even more this year. So this goal brings more money into the housing market, adding to the challenge of managing foreign investment. Issues like mortgage fraud and the manipulation of income verification complicate the situation further. This shows how foreign money can affect the market in hard to track ways, such as using fake documents to get loans for buying homes. Because in Canada, there's a pretty standardized and strict process when you go to get a mortgage, and all you have to do to find that out is walk into a bank and try to get qualified for more money than you actually can. It is very difficult, and that's why you hear all these stories about people stating that, hey, I'm paying $3,500 a month in rent, but I can't get qualified for a mortgage that's only going to cost me $2,500 a month. And so it's difficult to say what sort of measures to put in place to quantify income from outside the country, because it's going to vary from country to country. But I'm not going to get too far off topic. I have a separate video covering this topic on mortgage fraud, so if you haven't watched it yet, be sure to check it out as soon as you finish this one. Additionally, the situation in China, where the real estate market is under stress, adds further complexity, and this could potentially lead to more money being invested in Canada as a safe place, or being taken back to China, affecting different parts of Canada's housing market in various ways, and especially luxury homes and new developments. For example, when developers in Vancouver offer free luxury cards to sell homes, it shows the market is facing challenges despite efforts to control foreign investment. This suggests the problem is broader and requires more comprehensive solutions. And on that note, that's generally where we see the foreign money going most of the time anyways, into products that the average person, or realistically even the above average earner, aren't buying anyways. It's not the nice, quaint, and cute 40-year-old single-family detached home down the road from you in the cul-de-sac that foreign buyers are purchasing sight unseen. It's the high-end pre-sale properties and multi-million-dollar houses that you see in magazines. And how much of a spillover effect does it have on the typical resale market? It's hard to say that it has absolutely no impact. But the luxury market and your typical residential resale market are generally very detached from one another. But hey, that's enough talking from me. Why don't we take a dive into the actual data to see just how effective the first year of the foreign buyer ban was. So here we have the Fraser Valley real estate market, and I'm going to show you exactly where the foreign buyer ban began. And so first of all, I'm going to show you where it didn't begin. And so in the peak of the market in March of 2022, home prices were $1.771 million. Now, this whole decline, there were foreign buyers in the market the entire time. So it couldn't have had anything to do with interest rates or anything else. It must have been the foreign buyers, right? Well, I think this just goes to show that it's a little bit more complicated than just that. But hey, why don't we take a look? This is when the foreign buyer ban actually started, January of 2023. So where do we go from there? Well, unfortunately, it's only been up. So has it actually done anything? I'm not too sure. We are up 8.6% for detached single family homes over the past year since it's been implemented. Now, once again, I just want to reinforce the fact that I'm not trying to say that foreign buyers have no impact whatsoever, but to say that they can supersede and dictate what happens in the market over all these other factors, these economic factors, supply and demand, of course, interest rates, immigration, and all these other things that are going on, I just don't really think that it's fair to just point the finger in that direction. But all I really wanted to do here was just give you a very quick overview of what prices have done since prior to the foreign buyer ban and what has happened afterwards. Something that I wondered about and hadn't looked into until recently was what happens if a non-Canadian is actually caught buying Canadian residential property? Well, should any non-Canadian be found in violation of this act, this will be treated as a criminal offense and penalties may be imposed upon them. Non-Canadians found in violation of the act and any parties that have assisted them in doing so may be fined up to $10,000 Canadian. But that's not it. And when I originally read this, I was a little bit shocked because I was thinking, well, that's it? Just a $10,000 fine? But just hold your horses because that's not all. In addition, if a non-Canadian is found violating the act, a court can order the sale of the residential property, which will result in the non-Canadian receiving no more than the price paid to purchase the residential property. So that means even if the market has gone up, they cannot profit from the sale. And if a corporation or entity is found in violation, officers, directors, senior officials, and other representatives of the corporation or entity can be found liable for the offense. Now, that's all great, but what I'd really be curious to know is how many people, if anyone, have actually been caught and punished. If you happen to know or have any resources discussing this, please let me know down in the comments because I'd love to hear. Now, the foreign buyer ban is actually just one of several measures that the Canadian government has implemented to try and help create more affordable housing for Canadians. A few others include the Apartment Construction Loan Program and the Housing Accelerator Fund. How effective these will be is still yet to be determined, but I will say that I am happy the government has finally made an effort to address the housing supply shortage rather than constantly try to reduce demand. Because we've all seen just how effective that's been. And this is something that many of us in the real estate industry have been begging the government to do, yet it's only fallen on deaf ears, at least until now. But is it already too little too late? Well, we'll just have to see. But that's enough for me. However, I would love to know what you think. Is the extension on the foreign buyer ban going to have any meaningful impact, or is it just another political move that sounds great at surface level, but really does nothing in reality? Let me know down in the comments. And if you think that right now is a good time to get into the market since you won't have to compete with those pesky foreign buyers anymore, or you're a seller who wants to cash out before the market comes crashing down because there'll be no more foreign money to prop it up, then you can book a call with me by scrolling down and clicking the first link in the description and choosing a time that works best for you. Thanks so much for watching. Before you get out of here, make sure you check out another video on our channel, and we'll see you in the next one.